Wingardium Leviosa, Expecto Patronum, Logos, Pathos, Ethos. Wait, those aren't magic spells. Those are rhetoric. More specifically, they are rhetorical appeals, and they form another type of rhetorical triangle. Like the rhetorical situation triangle, the Logos, Pathos, Ethos triangle contains tools that we can use to both create and critique media, or really any communicative event. Today we're going to start with Logos. Logos gives you the power of logic and rationality. Well, not exactly. Appeals to Logos work to demonstrate that the author is logical, that their claims make rational or common sense. The easiest way to spot these or use these is if someone mentions statistics or shows you graphs or diagrams. Scientific studies are usually presented as demonstrations of fact, and it's only logical to follow the facts. It just makes sense. These types of appeals are supposed to convey that the author, or at least their claims they're making, are logical and rational. But these claims, or even the studies that the claims are based on, don't actually have to be factual or truthful at all. They just have to have the appearance of fact to be counted as an appeal to Logos. Ethically, if you're creating media, any claims you make should be grounded in reality, or at the very least, your appeals to Logos shouldn't be actively misleading or outright wrong. But to be an appeal to Logos, it just has to be framed like a fact or like it's the logical thing. Graphs and statistics are obviously appeals to Logos, though those can be manipulated or fabricated too. But even statements like, "It's just common sense," that's a fact. It's the rational thing to do. It's what all the smart folks are doing. Those are all appeals to Logos also, whether or not those statements are actually true. Just because someone says something is a fact does not make it a fact. As a consumer of media, when someone uses a statement like that, it's always a good idea to ask, is it? Is it a fact? Is it rational? And then you follow that inquiry through. Do a bit of digging if you can. And if you find credible evidence to support what they said, great. But if not, don't be fooled just because someone says something is a fact. Don't let them put a confundus charm on you. Another thing to be careful about when it comes to Logos is the idea of logic or common sense itself. Common sense is often framed as things that, every rational person would agree with. But here's the thing, common sense always depends on something called a warrant. Warrants are things a group of people generally agrees to be true. Claims of logic often have underlying warrants that aren't stated outright, but that are actually crucial for that logic to work. For example, if I make the claim, as some people have, that people in coastal areas affected by rising ocean levels due to climate change will just sell their homes and move. On its face, that might seem like a logical argument. Something bad's going on with your house or the area where you live. You should probably get out of there. You need to sell your house. But that's based on an underlying warrant or underlying assumption that someone will want to buy the house in the flooded area, which is not necessarily going to be true. To sum up, appeals to Logos are appeals to logic, rationality, facts, things like that. But something being an appeal to Logos doesn't necessarily make that appeal true, but it doesn't make it not true either. As with all rhetoric, Logos can be used for good or ill, but knowing how it works can help make you smarter as both a creator and a critic.